Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about how to spot a fearful avoidant attachment style individual on the first date. So this can be on or soon after the first date. And this is a great video if you're confused about dating and you just want to understand what somebody's attachment style may be early on so that you know the potential challenges or risks or things that you may run into and how to mitigate those things proactively through different tools and resources once you understand this person's attachment style. And in no way are any of these videos, just as a disclaimer here, saying that if somebody is a particular attachment style that you shouldn't date them. What I am saying is that you should know somebody's attachment style so that, it just makes the entire process of dating earlier. And whether you are a securely attached person dating an insecurely attached style, or an insecurely attached style looking to date another insecurely attached style, obviously just by knowing the different dynamics of what could take place and the problems you might run into, you can be as proactive as possible. So a few key things. Number one, you're going to see that fearful avoidants are very present. They are not just present, but they're present to the point of hypervigilance. So they'll be so attuned to things. It's almost like on the very first date, a lot of the time, you'll feel very seen, very heard, feel like they sort of know what you're going to say before you say it at times. We'll ask a lot of penetrating questions. So a lot of things that are let's say you talk about a childhood experience or a memory, or let's say you're talking about an ex or something related to dating. And of course that may be later on in dating, but let's just use an example of that. What you will likely find is that they'll ask more and more deep questions about it. They're always probing. They're always trying to get to the bottom of things, really understand things from a deep perspective. So that will definitely be a characteristic to look for. Another thing is fearful avoidance may people please, and they may be agreeable early on, on the first date, second date, sort of earlier on. But differently from anxious preoccupied, they will still show that they have strong opinions about things. So even if their opinions differ from yours, they won't really be quick to repress their opinions to try to be very agreeable. They may be agreeable on, if you have a request, or if you say you want to go to a certain place or do a certain thing for the next date. They may be agreeable in that sense, but they do tend to stick pretty strong to their opinions in general. Another big one is you'll often see fearful avoidants try to not appear weak or needy or vulnerable early on in a date. They may even mention things about how independent they are, how they're taking their time with dating, how they're not rushing, how they don't need somebody in a relationship, or they may allude to that to a certain degree. And sometimes this is because fearful avoidants are really coming from this place and perspective. And sometimes it's because that's what they currently want at this time in their lives, is to take things slow. But there are other reasons for this that often exist for the fearful avoidant. They may also do this because they think it's desirable or attractive to not be needy, maybe because they were conditioned that way directly or indirectly by their environment. They may also just have huge fears of relying on somebody. I'll often say that fearful avoidants aren't afraid to be vulnerable in terms of expressing and sharing emotions, but when it comes to putting their life in someone else's hands, relying on somebody to do things for them, to take care of them, to pay all the bills for these sorts of things, when it comes to life and the helplessness or powerlessness of your life being dictated by somebody else, fearful avoidants are very quick to shut that down and try to stay as far away from that as possible. So you can see those signs usually showing up all the way at the first date. And you'll almost see the body language says people pleasing, but the words say, I'm strong, I'm independent. The description of events say, I don't need anybody else. I don't need to rely on anybody else. And often they'll try to make that known quite early into the dating experience. Fearful avoidants will have quite open, attuned body language a lot of the time, be very focus on making eye contact, paying attention to what you're saying. And they will tend to ask a lot of deep questions about you in general, not even just in response to things and ask those probing questions when you share something, but in general, they'll want to know deep stuff quite early on. And a big distinguishing factor from that and anxious preoccupied is APs will want to share more deep things about them. They'll want you to ask more about them. Fearful avoidants tend to be a little hesitant to open up and share too much about themselves early on. At least anything emotionally vulnerable is something that tends to be sort of off limits. but they'll want to know all those deep things about you. And so that's a big distinguishing feature if you're trying to decide if somebody's FA or AP. Now, we have a couple more, but I do want to mention in here as well that fearful avoidance, if you want like a roadmap for the fearful avoidant and all of their qualities and the things that they're going to show up with and the pain points and challenges they're going to run into, so you can actually proactively make sure that you feel like you have the easy, more friction-free path to dating. And if you want to see the proceeding stages, how they're going to show up in the honeymoon stage, power struggle stage, or if this is you as a fearful avoidant and you just want the whole relationship process to be easier and just to know things and have certainty and control in advance, I highly recommend, and you can check it out for free for 7 days, the Advanced Fearful Avoidant Attachment Style course, where it will literally give you a roadmap of all the things you're likely to have show up in each of the different stages with this person you're dating or with you if you are the FA, and tools for reprogramming, tools for communicating, tools for overcoming some of the potential pain points. And we have this for every single attachment style. So it just gives you the roadmap to a little bit of everything, but this is called the Advanced Fearful Avoidant course. And I'll put the link in the description box below. And when it's for the 7-day free trial, and you can join in there, check it out, and just search up the Advanced Fearful Avoidant course. Now, a couple last things are, fearful avoidants tend to be quite direct. They do not tend to be very slow moving individuals. Even if they're leaning a little dismissive in the dating stage, if they're interested, they will tend to jump in sort of head first. It's usually in the big commitment stages. So like going into the honeymoon stage or making big commitments in the commitment stage, the fearful avoidants tend to be a lot more like the cold feet sort of type. But in the dating, they tend to be somewhat direct about if they're interested or not interested. And one other thing that you'll see is fearful avoidants tend to, if you give them too many compliments early on, they tend to deflect or shirk compliments, like really feel like, oh, that's too much too soon, or sort of deflect things. And that can be because they can get afraid to feel too vulnerable or to receive too much from somebody else because of those painful subconscious associations that like receiving equals I'm a burden, or, those different belief patterns that are in there. But it can also be because there's sometimes an inherent programmed sense of unworthiness into the fearful avoidant that doesn't have to be there if you do some subconscious reprogramming work. So those are some major ways to spot a fearful avoidant on the first date. And hopefully it makes a whole lot of sense. Again, you can check out that course for free for 7 days by clicking the link below. And that is it for today. Thank you for being here and for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.